So here's an interesting story out of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. It's about a property dispute between two neighbors. Matter of fact, we're going to go ahead and get into the video because not only is there a property dispute, there's also another twist that may have a hint of deception and or racism to it. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And when you do subscribe, hit the notification bell so every time I drop a video, you will be the first to know about it. Let's hit it.
Thank you from the WBRC Investigative Unit tonight. Another development in the case of a house built on the wrong property in Zachary. Turns out the property was the site of an abandoned oil well and the source of a $300,000 settlement that went to the homeowners. Best Casualty reports.
Michael, Louisiana is home to over 20,000 abandoned oil and gas wells. Many are a nuisance at best, and if not correctly plugged, a health hazard. However, they can be very lucrative for a property owner through proper litigation.
This is my cash sale.
The WBRZ Investigative Unit brought you the story last week about Thomas Robertson and his brother's quest to right a real estate wrong.
The surveyor messed up, but the city of Baton Rouge also gave them permits to build at that wrong location.
And that's crazy because I've seen stories where a person had a house built and then come to find out it was built on the wrong lot. And so then you got all kind of litigations. Because man, you're talking about a pier and beam, a slab foundation to where that house you just can't pick it up and move it. It's there. The work is done. It's because like when let's say you pay the house off and you still owe property taxes. Well, if you don't pay your property taxes, the city or the county or the state or whoever can take your land. Now, if you can find some way to pick that house up and move it somewhere, by all means, do that. But the problem is you can't. It's pretty much impossible to do with a slab foundation. Now, if you got like a mobile home, might be a little simpler. Might take a little work, but it can be a little simpler. So you have to understand, like I said, you build something on the wrong property. Now, what you're going to do? But anyway, let's get into the story so I get more details.
They say these two lots, the right owned by Robertson's brother and the left owned by the Mulders, somehow got switched up in the surveying process, allowing the Mulders to build their dream home on the Robertsons' lot, which happens to be the larger of the two, and we've just found out, sitting on settlement gold.
So it's just a coinkydink that the white couple's home was built on a larger lot. See, that's the first issue I would have. If I paid for an acre and a half, but somehow y'all switched it up, you got surveyors, the county, the developers, or what have you. I'd say if I pay for an acre and a half, but yet you put my house, but I had to see his brother and see what his brother, probably talk to his brother too, because what's thrown off is how well, if you look, no matter of fact, if you look at this map, you can see that on the blue, you can see where a house is built. Okay, these are small lots, it's not really big lots. But you see developers get these little lot, like this might be an acre, this might be half an acre, this might be quarter of an acre, or three tenths of an acre. It might be half an acre, but anyway, or 1 acre, a little less than an acre. But anyway, the thing is, they bought these lots years ago. Was it like 2011, something like that? These people built a house. They built a dream home on this lot. This guy has bought a lot, but yet, as you can see, hasn't done anything to it. So I can understand how he has this and didn't realize that his neighbors were building a lot on his land because he hasn't done anything to it. So he probably hasn't been by there, hasn't surveyed it, hasn't looked at it. He probably just bought it sight unseen. I can tell you, like I said, the land that my father has in the country, he has he has a few acres. Okay. So the thing is, when I talked to him and asked him, where is it at? He said, well, it's over there, it's behind this house, it's over here, or it's over there by the river, what have you. And I'm like, oh, I thought you had it zoned off to, be like right here. And he like, no, it's like it's undivided. So it's like it could be 50 acres in there, and you buy 10, 15, 20, 25 acres of it. But if it's not zoned off, if you are the first one to lay claim to it, put something on it, or put a fence around it, your the acres that you bought, that's yours. If nobody else do anything. So he could have like I say, but he said so he could have bought this lot and not really looked at, what I'm saying, what he bought, probably bought and said, I'll just get it now and then I'll, build something on it later. Or I just might just got it for an investment property and probably, what I'm saying, planned on selling it sometime in the future. But like I say, so I can see why he probably didn't know what was going on. He probably just never went by and looked at it. And them folk probably, anyway, let's get into the story.
This is an abandoned oil well documented in the LA Orphan.
So you see it, right? Just like nothing but grass. So this is a better picture. This is all trees. So he has nothing here. So you got this lot. These people built a house here. This lot goes here. And then they bought this lot and they built a house, which I wouldn't like that, man. But that's how they do it. Like they put them like looking like a ruler instead of being like a square. But anyway, I guess so you can be further from the road. Then that way you can put your house further from the road. So it would have to be like divided like this. But anyway.
An abandoned wells online database at the very back of the lot where the Mulders built their home.
So hold on, let's go back.
An abandoned oil well documented in the Edson's lot, which happens to be the larger of the two, and we've just found out, sitting on settlement gold. This is an abandoned oil well documented in the LA Orphaned and Abandoned Wells online database at the very back of the lot where the Mulders built their home. The data shows it was operated by IP Petroleum Company and had been plugged in the 80s, but apparently not well enough. In 2014, the Mulders sued the company, claiming gas had been leaking from the well site into the earth and underground water supply, as well as making it to the surface. Because the leak affected several lots, Robertson and other families joined the suit. However, Robertson says he had no idea about the property mix-up at that point in time. Eventually, the suit was settled for $850,000, of which the Mulders took home $320,000 after paying attorney's fees.
That's what we're trying to get.
Robertson received around $115,000.
And I realized that the Mulders had a bad situation. We're exploring at this point whether or not there's any evidence that may suggest that was a bad thing.
The attorney for Robertson's brother alleges the Mulders may have known about the oil well and its potential to garner a large settlement, meaning they intentionally built on the wrong lot.
I don't know that, but we have to explore it. It's something the judge is looking at too.
In his deposition from February, Stevie Mulder is adamant they did not know about the property mistake when they discovered the well in 2011 or when they settled with the oil company in 2017. The Mulders admitted this year in that deposition that they now know their house is sitting on the wrong lot. However, they blame the company who did the survey and their real estate agent, and they have filed suit. Robertson's also blames the city parish for approving the permits. Their attorney hopes to have a trial set by August and wants the Mulders evicted as well as the Robertsons compensated. For the investigative unit, Bess Casserly, WBRZ News 2.
So here's the issue. Now, we like to put P's on Q's on this channel when we do videos, but I'm kind of at a loss. So maybe y'all can put down in the comments if y'all know anything about real estate, what can be done, what's the most likely scenario. But I'll tell you what I know from personal experience. When we bought this house, it was fairly new. Subdivision had been up maybe a couple of years. In the back of the yard, there's a lot of trees. I guess like not really woods, but trees, vines, brush, all that kind of stuff in the very back of the yard. It's like a berm which is like a little hill that goes across everybody's backyard in this neighborhood. So when we bought this house and bought this lot, I guess, I thought that the land stopped at where all the trees and the berm was at. One of my neighbors, when he come down and introduce himself and everything, tell us about the neighborhood, He told us, he said, look, your property does not stop at where the trees at. He said, matter of fact, it goes beyond that. I'm like, oh, really? He said, yeah. He said, if you look at like in my house, he said, so we did a survey and they resurveyed it and it goes like, cause like 20 feet. Cause matter of fact, no. The guy who sold us the house, the real estate agent who worked for who worked for the people the developer, he told us like our property went maybe like 5 feet past the berm. But my neighbor was like, no, it's probably more like 20 feet past the berm. I'm like, oh, really? So I'm sitting here thinking, shoot, if I bought it and I paid for it, I want it. So I had a guy, got a lawn guy who, cuts my yard and stuff, and talk to him about knocking all that the dead trees down, getting the vines, what I'm saying, clearing the vines off and everything like that. So I can, see my whole property. Now there's an old neighborhood behind us, older neighborhood. House maybe built in the 80s, 90s, maybe. And so it's like I said, got neighbors that stay back there. So I had to clear it off, and then I had the land resurveyed. And when the land resurveyed, they put the stakes up, and yes, it's about 20 feet past the berm or whatever. Now this little nosy neighbor I got behind us, she comes out and she's looking, and every time she's talking to me, she's looking on the ground and digging her feet in the ground, actually like looking for the markers, like I said, the property markers or what have you. But like I said, I know because first she was like, I don't know exactly where the property marker is. My husband know where it is, blah blah blah. So that's when I got it surveyed and found out how far back it went. Now the stuff that they had went fairly close to it, but it did not cross it. So they knew where their property stopped. Now, mind you, most of the houses in this area, a lot of houses at the time didn't have fences. I don't have a fence around my yard, but so the issue is when I got ready to clear it off, around about the time I cleared it off, I talked to my father about it, and he was like saying, well, if you're not using it and you got all them trees, yeah, that's right, because all this stuff is still up. Trees other the brushes and vines up, you're not using, man, don't even worry about it. I'm like, man, look, if I pay for it, I'm gonna get it. I mean, I ain't that friendly. I don't know what you're talking about. So that's when I had to clear it off and had it marked. Because he was saying, like, if you don't claim it and they use it, then they can claim it. So let's say like if they were using, so I think they was waiting to see if we were going to like put stakes up or use the land or claim the land or what have you. The thing is, if the point is, if like I was saying, like having, like say buying 12 acres, 10 acres in a 50-acre lot, 50 acre plot, if you don't mark your territory and somebody else marks it, fences it off or what have you, and you haven't marked it and they fence it off and they use it, like I say, and like in this situation, over time, if you don't send in like after a certain amount of time and then you try to go down and protest and say, hey man, my property goes 10 more feet back and they've used that 10 feet and built the shed or built the garage, well, the courts are probably going to go into your neighbor's favor because you had the house for how long? So many years, but never used it or never claimed it. You see what I'm saying? So it's like that's where the issue is going to be here because from what I'm seeing, the property might have been bought 2011, 2010, somewhere around there because they sued and then they what they do like a lawsuit in 2011. They got paid 2013. So it's been, I want to say, at least around about at least 15 years, over 15 years since the properties were the lots were bought. So if it took you years and these people done built the house, they're living on it, they're paying the mortgage, you ain't done nothing to your land, you ain't claimed it. So it's almost like it's been so long. The only thing that could really happen is probably compensate you for your loss. But to talk about trying to have them evicted, I don't think that's going to happen. I think you'll be in court paying a lot of legal fees and not get and they'll not get what they're looking for. Now they didn't show the brother, so the brother who knows might be elderly, might be handicapped, could be something, an issue. There has to be some reason why the brother is not there representing himself at the property. So, but I don't know. I mean, like I say, when I saw this, when I saw the story a week or two ago, I was like, man, that's kind of jacked up. Because the biggest issue was at the time was that they talked about that it was just somehow the properties got switched, but the properties weren't the same size. So I'm like, okay, that's jacked up. So okay, well maybe he didn't get the property on the same size, so probably just like I say, get compensated for his loss. But then you flip around, turn around, and now they're saying that there's a capped oil well, abandoned well, but there's gases coming out of it. So, like the lady said, if you can finagle or know how the system work, you can get heavily compensated for it. And so now them folks done got $300,000. So, which means, hell, they bought that house 15 years ago, and then they got to sell them for $300,000. That house is paid off. So basically, they're living, and at the time they still didn't know. Supposedly, neither one of them knew that they was on the wrong lot. It doesn't really say how they found out the lot, how they found out. Well, probably when they looked at the deeds, probably looked at the deeds at the records office. They probably in the lot numbers and probably saw that something didn't match up. It's probably how they found out. But think about it, yeah, 15 years ago, 15, 13, 15, 13, 14, 15 years ago, if you got paid 300 something $1,000 because of a gas leak, like I say, the mother folk, their house is paid off. But in the same instance, again, if you didn't know it was a mix up at the time, with he got 100 something $1,000, he could have built a house. Probably could have built that same house. Wouldn't have no extra money, wouldn't have like extra money like them folk got. But you probably could have still built you a house on that lot for $180,000. Probably the same size, if not bigger than the house they got right there. So that's also like say an issue that you can talk about. That what do you do with the $180,000? I mean, he had to pay lawyers or what have you. And why hasn't he built on that house? I mean, on that land since he's bought the land. So there's a lot of questions and things, a lot of things missing, a lot of issues, a lot of questions that have not been answered in this story. So I'm going to hopefully try to keep an eye on this. If y'all keep an eye on this story and hit me with some updates, I would appreciate it, because this is interesting. Because the first thing we're gonna holler is racism and discrimination. Because brother bought a big lot, he's paying for it. Well, he probably paid the lot off. Truth be told, probably just paying taxes on it now. I mean, if he did his money right. But brother got to buy a bigger lot, what I'm saying, paid for a bigger lot, but yet got a smaller lot. Then the other folk, they built a house on that lot, and then come to find they had a capped oil well that was getting in the waters, water streams, and making people sick. Now they got a big payout from it. And the brother's just sitting there like, what the hell done happened? But anyway, tell me what you think about this story. Leave your comments below. Share it with the world. Let's have intelligent conversation. You know how we do around here. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Those 4 things cost you nothing but maybe a couple of minutes out your day, but it means the world to us here. If you would like to support us financially, you can always give super thanks, super chat, super stickers, or you can go to the description box. There are a couple of links on there that you can click on to help support us that way. Now, if you would like something tangible for your dollars, which a lot of people do, you can go to marlonmorale.com. You can hit our Shopify store, or you can just hit the shop button below this video and check out all our luxury products. We have fragrances that last all day. We have pure silk products, beard products, handbags, and much more. Check it out. You will not be disappointed. With that being said, I leave you in peace, and I'll see you on the other side.